Junior software engineer job postings have dropped over 60% since 2022. The jobs didn't move, they were quietly eliminated. Most people entering tech right now believe the industry needs more developers than it can hire. Coding bootcamps still advertise job placement rates above 80%. University CS programs are reporting record enrollment, but the actual hiring data from 2022 through 2025 tells a completely different story. One that the industry has not been especially eager to broadcast. We'll get to why that is, but first, the numbers. LinkedIn's hiring data shows entry level software engineering roles dropped roughly 60% between early 2022 and late 2024. CompTIA's workforce reports confirm the pattern. Junior and associate level developer postings have declined every single quarter since Q2 2022. That is not a blip, that is a structural shift. And it tracks almost perfectly with two things that happen simultaneously: the post pandemic tech correction and the rapid deployment of AI coding tools. Let's talk about the correction first because it's the part that gets the most coverage and also the part that gets misunderstood. In 2020 and 2021, tech companies hired at a pace that was, by their own later admission, completely unsustainable. Meta hired 27,000 people in 2021 alone. Amazon added over 800,000 employees across its entire workforce during the pandemic period. Google's headcount grew more than 20% in a single year. These companies were pricing in a permanent shift in digital demand that did not fully materialize at the scale they anticipated. When the correction came in 2022 and accelerated into 2023, the layoffs were large and very public. Over 260,000 tech workers cut in 2023, according to layoffs.fyi. But here's the part that gets less attention. The layoffs were not evenly distributed. Senior engineers with specialized skills in infrastructure, security, and machine learning were often retained or rehired quickly. The people who struggled most to land back on their feet were the ones who had been hired speculatively. Junior developers brought in during the hiring boom to staff projects that were now being scaled back or eliminated. When those roles disappeared, companies did not reopen them. They recalculated the staffing model entirely. That recalculation is where the AI tools come in. And this is the part of the story that most career advice content still refuses to say directly. GitHub Copilot launched broadly in June 2022. By late 2023, Google had deployed internal AI coding assistants across its engineering teams. Amazon released Code Whisperer. JetBrains reported in their 2024 developer survey that over 60% of professional developers were using AI coding tools regularly. What these tools do, in practical terms, is compress the productivity gap between a senior engineer and a junior one. Tasks that previously required a junior developer to spend 2 days on, writing boilerplate, generating test cases, refactoring basic functions, can now be handled in hours by a senior engineer with an AI assistant. The economic case for hiring junior developers to do that work weakened significantly and measurably. Now we can explain what's actually happening and why the data looks the way it does. Companies are not anti-junior developer in principle. What they are is extremely cost-conscious after a brutal 2-year correction, and they are now operating with smaller, more senior engineering teams that are individually more productive because of AI tooling. The headcount math has changed. A team of 8 that previously needed 3 junior developers to handle lower complexity work can now operate with 5 senior engineers and a suite of AI tools at roughly equivalent output for a lower total risk profile. Junior developers, who require onboarding time, mentorship investment, and produce less immediately billable output, have become harder to justify in that model. The people getting hurt by this are specific and identifiable. Bootcamp graduates are the most exposed group. A 2024 analysis by SwitchUp found that bootcamp graduates were reporting average job search timelines of 6 to 12 months compared to 2 to 3 months in 2021. Self-taught developers without a CS degree from a recognized institution are in a similar position. And even 4-year CS graduates from non-target schools, universities that big tech companies don't actively recruit from, are finding the market dramatically colder than it was when they enrolled. If you want to know whether the market data actually supports the salary or the role you're being told to aim for, subscribe. We break down real hiring reports and compensation data every week. No generic advice, just the actual numbers. So what do you do with this if you're trying to break in right now? The honest answer is that the path in has narrowed, but it has not closed. The roles that are still hiring junior talent are concentrated in mid market companies, 50 million to 500 million revenue range, that are not yet running full AI augmented engineering workflows and still need human developers to build and maintain systems. Government contractors and defense tech are also hiring at the entry level because AI tooling adoption there is slower and compliance requirements demand human review. The practical implication for your own career decision is this: if you are targeting only FAAing and top tier tech companies as your entry point in 2025, the data suggests you are competing for a pool of roles that is a fraction of what it was 3 years ago. Widening your target list to include growth stage companies and adjacent industries, fintech, health tech, GovTech, is not settling. Right now, it is a statistically better strategy for actually getting hired.